Oh man, we got some live in this motherfucker. Hey, get live in this motherfucker. Hey, if I told one time we say, hey, who got the juice? I got the juice, baby. Who got the juice? I got the juice, baby. Who got the juice?
I've been had the juice, my boy. You asked for the boss and they sent for me. Analyze that.
Heavy-handed with the style, you see the sauce I'm dripping. 4 4s on 4 Vogues, bro, we stay tipping. 3 5 to the face, rolled it fresh out the zippy. Making mailbox money, R.I.P. to Nipsey. Sheesh, this cushion orange juice. Quality you gotta choose, my aura in a different spectrum. Super Saiyan high altitudes, where you'll find my attitude. 10-4, yeah, I make vibes, I'm on my business. I'm never online acting a fool, or crying for attention, or begging for views. See, I'm a chill dude, but I'm a fly motherfucker. I'ma do what I do, wave, fly stepper, baby, watch how I.
What up, everybody? Black Sauce here another week with my friend Tim Graham. Believe me, it's taken me like 7 different tries to say his last name right, but I'm finally saying it right?
It's close. You're almost like a solicitor, but
Almost like a solicitor.
we're doing great. It's Tim Graham here with Val. We're happy to be here today on the cost of being the boss.
Alrighty, man. So, can you give me a little bit of bio for the people that out there that don't know you?
Okay, so I'm now 41 years old, and for the last 4 years, I've been my own boss, and I've been my own boss at Teton Window Cleaning, which I own and operated solely by myself, which makes it a lot of work, and that's kind of why I'm here today. I met Val through Chili's in one of my winter jobs to get me through winter, but other than that, I've just been working for myself.
All right. Through your prior to going to business into your own, that was 4 years ago. Prior to that, what kind of things were you getting yourself into? I guess
First job I ever did when I was 16 was lifeguard. Then 18, I fought fires for the Forest Service for 8 fire seasons. After that, I was going to college and trying to do different things, which I did here at CSI, and just randomly different jobs here and there. And roundabout way, I started working for Truscott and had a bad motorcycle accident, and which led me to becoming my own boss, because I knew that you can have more time off and make more money working for yourself.
Or so you thought, right? Or so you thought.
That's
right?
what I believe.
Right?
That was the initial belief.
Alrighty. So I guess that goes into one of my next questions: is there some things that something that you weren't accounting for when you became your own boss, or you're like not necessarily oversaw it, but you just wasn't aware of it at the time?
Yeah, so I didn't aware that when you become your own boss, you never get any time off. And that's when you become super busy. When you're just starting out, you have a lot of time off, which enables you to learn about your job and hone your skills. And then when you become good at them, you tend to lose all your time off because everybody wants you to go work for them in the service industry. And if you don't have the discipline to give yourself days off, you end up with no days off, and that was something I didn't foresee happening.
Alrighty. So, you were talking about your your major accident, right? That caused you to miss work, and I think you mentioned it earlier that it affected you in your mentally as well, right?
Yeah. So I used to ride motorcycles. That was my passion. That was my hobby. I've owned 3 in my lifetime. At the time of the wreck, I had 2 of them. And when I did crash, I had a huge concussion, dislocated my shoulder, and came to at my parents' house at 11:30 at night after going to the ER and having my shoulder reset. And the only thing I remember from the wreck was telling the hospital no drugs, because I had lost a lot of friends due to being addicted to pain medicine. And so I've always had a fear of that. And I just didn't need it if I wasn't conscious. It was some weird thing that happened, and that's all I can remember. And so at that time, I was working for Truscott Trucking, doing good, getting bonuses, and when I went back to work, after a couple days off, I couldn't look at the computer screens without getting a migraine, and I knew like working for them just wasn't for me, and I needed to figure something out and fast.
Okay. So what was something that got you into window cleaning at that time?
Acquaintance, friend, old friend. We're not friends anymore. It's just sometimes things happen when you buy your own business and you become more successful at it than somebody else. They get jealous and don't want to be your friend, and that's nothing to me. It's just something that people out there can grow from, and that's kind of what I wanted this to be about. Is not how good you can be at being your own boss, is how good you can grow your own self. And so when I got the business from him, he told me you can make your mortgage and your rent, or rent at the time, within a week and get all your bills covered in a week, and then you got 3 weeks off out of the month. And I said, well, shoot, that sounds like a good idea.
So I guess that goes back to what you weren't foreseeing, right? You were foreseeing the $2,000 or however much amount, and then you're like, sweet, 2 weeks off, and then that's that, and then start over next month, right?
Yeah, that's really what it was. Is I can get more time off working for myself than working for the man, quote unquote.
And that's what a lot of us think, and for myself, that's what I think too. Like, oh, once I go into business for myself, I'm gonna get a lot of time to myself. But now that I've been doing stuff on my own, it's now I'm not necessarily that I didn't care, but now that I care more and more and more every time I shoot a video or every time I'm behind the camera, it's like this stuff really matters to me. So I'm gonna engage myself and give myself more work to this, and I don't really even see it as work anymore. It's just my passion, like you said.
Yeah.
Right? And like you said, it's just something we don't foresee.
No, not at all, because anything I ever try to do, I want to do it to the best of my abilities. I don't want to shortcut myself or cheat myself out or kind of slack at it. I want to do it better than not necessarily better than someone, because that's being egotistical, but I want to do it to the best of my abilities, and whether that's better than somebody or not, it's just to the best of my abilities, and that's how I want to do it. And that's what I did with window washing, and I think that's kind of what set me aside. But at the end, that's also was my downfall, because I didn't give myself any time off. I always just focused on the business.
Okay. So now, 2024, I know that you sold your business. Now you're on to another adventure, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I've always had a CDL since I was in my 22. And so now I want to go work for the man, because when you work for yourself, you have to pay taxes and you got to keep up on all these other bills. And if you don't keep up on everything and don't stay ahead, you tend to fall behind. And so that's kind of what happened to me with the federal taxes, but I still pay them. It's just, I just don't make enough money washing windows throughout the full year to keep up on them, and there's no tax write-offs. You can literally go make $100 to $300 in a day off of $10, and skill. But that's the biggest thing you have to have with window washing is skill, and that's what I focused on, and that's what I made myself very good at. It's just other things come into play when you own a business. You can be great at something and still suck at other things.
Very true. That's very true, because for me, I'm great at behind the camera stuff, right? But for me, doing these podcasts and stuff like that, so much of it is just so fresh and so new to me that I kind of still am learning my niche in it and learning how to not suck so much. and for me, a lot of the things that I struggle with is doing my little pauses, and it's just a matter of, because for me, I don't do public speaking, and for me, I don't know if you remember when we first met, I didn't really speak much, I kept to myself very much. So for me, doing these is kind of out of the ordinary, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally see that. I've gone to school, I've taken public speaking, and I also, did phone sales and done jack of all trades, master of none, and I don't really worry about that, God has its way for you, and things happen for a reason is how I've always believed in it. And I believe, working for myself really kind of you always see that contractor with that brand new flashy truck thinking, how does he get there? Can I do that? And you try it and you're like, is it really worth it? Because having employees and keeping them paid very low isn't what I wanted, and I wanted to be able to try to make it on my own, but at the same time, not giving myself any time off wasn't worth it, because I don't believe that's the American dream. I believe, what our parents' American dream was is to make all this money, save it, and then retire and have a ton of money to go on vacations with, and now they're too old to go on vacations and they don't have the energy or the strength to do it. And I kind of saw that early on, and I'd rather have more time off than work and save for that end goal that you're never going to reach.
Yeah. So, and then that comes back to a little bit of why you sold your business and why you're not going off on the road, right? Like you originally planned was, like you mentioned, your parents are now at an older age and they're needing more of your attention too, right? So that's why you're sticking home.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason why I was offered a job in North Dakota, and things aren't totally panning out the way I thought they would there, and the parents' health isn't keeping up the way I thought it would, and you're only allowed one set of parents, whether it's one or two. That's all you get in life, and they're always going to be there for you. And so if they're going to be there for me, I should probably be there for them.
Yeah. And something that I did, caught you say a little bit earlier was that you had faith in God, right? So I guess how does that continue to play an role in your life?
So early on, I was always raised in a Christian church, but then when I went and fought fires, I did that for 8 fire seasons, and you say some foxhole prayers, and that's when you say a prayer out of, it's not desperation, just out of nothing else knowing what to do. It's fight or flight instance, and you just say a prayer and you watch the prayer save somebody's life right in front of your eyes. You tend to believe in a higher power, and you believe that there's something else out there helping your way through life. And so that's what really honed in and kept my faith. And you don't have to be the churchgoer every weekend, but you still got to say prayers, because even when I clean windows, I always said prayers before, like I pulled the person's screen off that was difficult, or whether I had to climb to the top of my ladder so that I didn't fall. And that was one of the other reasons why I stopped liking washing windows, because I had 2 instances where I almost fell off a ladder from very high up, and at 41 years old with no personal health care. Even though I was licensed, bonded, and insured, I still didn't have any of my own health care. And so at that point in time, that's kind of when I had to make a hard decision of, is this the best choice for my life, or is there something else I can do that can make equal or greater amount with more benefits and personal health care? Even though I'm going to sacrifice more time off, but I still will gain a greater time off when I'm completely separated versus never being separated. And when you own your own business, you're truly never separated from your own business on your days off.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'd like to impress upon to anybody else out there thinking about being their own entrepreneur. It's not a bad idea, but you just got to realize how to separate yourself from business and playtime.
Yeah. Which to you mean playing time is walking your dog, going home, and just chilling, right?
Yeah, just going home, going fishing, going on vacations, doing whatever you want to do, even taking a week off and going and seeing family. Like, all that comes back into play on when and how or why you're going to do it. And so those all those things need to kind of be kept in mind before you make the next action in your life.
Okay. So that's where you were. That's how you kept your faith. And now, right now, I guess, where are you in your journey of life right now?
This summer came around, and I just kind of started getting more fearful on that ladder, and I felt like that's doing my business a disservice. And I talked to some people, and I asked them about selling the business to them, and I couldn't, describe it, but the first person I talked to bought the business from me. And so I said, well, shoot, You know, this is God's way. And it's kind of been like what happens in my life. I've never been a one job and done kind of guy. Mm-hmm. My dad, he had that one job and done. And I've always kind of switched careers between 8 and 5 years. And this is about the earliest I've ever switched career paths. But I believe in myself that I can make this one be the longer lasting career, is driving a truck, working for somebody else, because I know that's going to take a lot of the headache and burden off of me, where when you're by yourself doing everything, and that's waking up, doing the booking, doing the work, getting home, sitting down for dinner, taking a shower, and then having to get back in the truck and go give 2 bids and then come back home at 8 p.m. 5 days a week, that makes life pretty difficult. And I don't have a family, but could you imagine doing that with a wife and kids, or a girlfriend, or trying to create something?
It's difficult.
That would be extremely difficult in my mind. And, you know, life has had its path, and to where I don't have kids, and I don't regret it. I use it to my benefit, and I respect people with kids, and I don't hold that. Chico's a little dog that I agreed to watch for 2 months, and you know, he's my little rescue dog, and he's pretty easy to take care of.
It's still one of your kids, right?
Kind of. He's a Muttley kid.
Yeah. So that's cool. So you're kind of just right now figuring it out and going to see what your next step is, right?
Yes. That's the next path in life, you know. The next journey is, I'd like to say, or call it, you know, don't get stagnant. And if you are, you best be happy where you're at and plan around that. And don't call it being stagnant, call it being successful.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I, you know what, to me, that's an epiphany moment for me right there. I never thought of it, don't call it stagnant, call it being successful. That's another way to look at things. And I guess I like doing these podcasts because I get other people's perspectives on life, you know what I mean? And I hope other viewers and other listeners can get the same things, like, oh man, I never thought of something in that particular way, you know what I mean? So that's kind of cool, I like that. For me, to keep saying, I like to go out, take a drive, listen to music, and declutter myself, right? Or I like to go read a book and kind of declutter myself. Anything like that for you specifically that helps you, like, okay, I need to get back into my go mode or my sane mode?
It's been taking walks with the dog for a minimum of a mile. Before that, I used to work out. Before that, I would hop on the motorcycle and go for a ride for an hour or a couple hours. And that's what I always did. I've always had like hobbies or activities. And if I'm not walking the dog, like now, I finally became a first-time home buyer in my life, and I'm a homeowner. And so it's working on this old house, as I'd like to call it. It's another episode of This Old House, just like we grew up watching on PBS, but only now I'm doing it for myself, because the more you put into something, the more you're going to get out of it. And the better you take care of something, the more valuable it's going to become later in life. And that's kind of, whether it's your car, whether it's any of your items, your snowboard, your bicycle, whatever hobby you so choose. Even if it's a garden, the more you put into it, the better the fruit and the better the flowers you're going to get out of it. You know, for you, I know you love to work out. And the more you work out and the harder you put into it and train, the more results you're going to see. And I'm pretty sure you can agree with that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I can agree with that. So that's cool. I like to instead of going out and doing something crazy, you're now working on your house and keeping you sane,
something
right?
Safe. Something very safe. Something that I'm not going to smash my head at. Yeah. You know? I like to have my both feet on the ground, maybe my butt in my chair watching my TV with the entertainment center, but something very safe and sane, and nothing too time consuming, because if you do anything that consumes all your time 4 or 5 hours of the day, then you're only digressing and not progressing.
Okay. So for me, let me pick your brain. And for me, what is your definition of a boss?
It can be peer, or it can be yourself, and if it's going to be yourself, you better have goals and aspirations to achieve. And whether that's honing your skills and getting better, getting more clients, making more money, you got to be in control of your own self. And if that would make you your own boss. And I feel like that's the cost of being your boss.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I like that. I like that definition of it. I ask so many people that same questions. Everybody gives me different answers. But for me personally, I believe somebody that's just going out there trying to be better in their life, even if it's 1% every day. So that for me, you might have sold your business, you might not see yourself as a boss anymore, but for me, as long as you live on your own, at your own house, paying your own bills, leveling up your life every day, at least 1%, I think for me that for so many reasons is a boss, right? Because how many people can go out there and be like, I own a home and I'm gonna think about the future on it, you know? A lot of us just take our house for granted and don't even think like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily even be homeownership. It would be the place that you're renting, you know? Don't trash somebody else's stuff. You should treat it always as if it's your own, because then it keeps you in that mentality so that when you finally do buy your own house, you're going to take even better care of it, and you're going to appreciate it even more, because you can think back to the days of when you rented. Because I've had so many rentals. I'm 41 years old, and the first place I even lived at was direct withdrawal out of my paycheck when I worked for the Forest Service and lived at Forest Service guard stations. And we had to make our bed every day. We had to keep the dishes clean every day in case we went out on a fire that day. We didn't have, the only thing we can really let rot was in the fridge.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And ever since then, that's kind of the mentality that I've kept, and that's kind of how I've always perceived things to be, is, you know, how do you want to treat it? Do you want to treat it like shit? You're going to view it as shit, and you're going to kind of beat yourself up. Or if you're going to treat it like it's gold, then you're always going to respect it as it's gold.
Yeah.
You know?
So you learned this early on in your age, around when you said you were in the Forest Service, right?
18. First, right when I moved out of the parents' house.
Yeah, nice. I like that. I hope my kids watch this and they can learn, because they never try. As of right now, they keep their rooms messy, and I try to stay on them, but they're kids, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I totally respect that, and hopefully they grow up not being jealous of what they see somebody else having. You know, just because I'm a homeowner doesn't mean I've always been a homeowner.
Yeah.
And I've lived in a duplex, and I never viewed the neighbor as being better than me. Sometimes they made more money than me, but they never took as good a care of their home. You know, I just don't believe that's how you should be in life. You shouldn't be jealous or be vengeful. You should always be striving to better oneself and keep your home area very nice and have it kind of be your sanctuary.
Yeah. I love that. I guess we're going towards the end of the podcast. One thing I do like to do is give the guest an opportunity to give me a question. Do you have one?
Do you have anything that really motivates you every day?
Do I have anything that really motivates me every day? Myself. I
love that answer, because that's always been my motivation, is myself. I'm not doing anything for anybody else but myself, and that's what I did when I worked for myself and owned my own businesses. I always wanted to be doing things to the best of my own personal ability.
Yeah. Well, and then for me, like, I say that like myself, but I don't mean that like in a selfish way. I mean, it is in the selfish way, as I'm not going to allow negativity in my life, right? But I'm also doing it for myself, so that my kids and my peers around me can see that I'm actually valuing everything I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm putting my heart and soul into whether it's this podcast, whether it's watching my kids, whether it's running the restaurant over at Chili's, whatever it is, I'm trying to put my heart and soul in it, you know?
You know, I think that's thinking before you act or before you speak, and we don't always do that. We do make mistakes in life, But if you think before you act and you think before you do and you try to see an outcome, then an achievable outcome, then you will make it.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to leave it at that, at a positive note. Appreciate your time. This is our second or third time attempting this, so hopefully it comes out. We're going to check it at the end, but all I want to say is go ahead and drink your water. Stay blessed. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
How's it going, everybody? Black Sauce here. Now we've reached to the part of my podcast where we go through plug talk. That is a shout out to a few businesses around the Magic Valley area. If you mention to them that you heard it from my podcast, they will hook you up. Kimry's Recovery in Twin Falls. Just let them know that I sent you. Man, they really did help me through my addiction. They continue to help me. I do their alumni program on Thursdays evenings, where I can go and just share what I got going on. Also, I have Set Hill over in Jerome, over at the liquidation store. He's offering 30% discount off any stock California mattress. Over at Ruby Mountain Motors, I have Greg. If you purchase a vehicle through him, it's the one on Blue Lakes. If you purchase a vehicle through him, I'll give you a $50 gift card if you tag me and mention that you heard it from my podcast. Also, over at Premier on Poline, if you go through Sam and purchase a vehicle, I will also do a $50 gift card towards you. If you go over to Jerome, over at Downpour Digs, it's a boot store, brand new. If you mention that you heard it from my podcast, any boot in that store is $10 off. Also, if you go over to Muscle Sport and order any other protein, any apparel, at the end when you're checking out, if you type in my code VALE and 941, again that's VALE 941. Type that in, you'll get a 10% discount. Again, thanks for listening. If you or anybody that you know wants to be mentioned at the end, get a hold of me through any of my social medias, and then we can discuss on maybe getting your business a shout out. Anyways, I hope you guys have a blessed day. Thanks again.